the summer of 1964, my dad and mom took my brothers and my sister and I for a vacation to Houghton Lake, Michigan. It's a beautiful place, a lot of good memories of there. But that vacation also would, because of circumstances, kind of affect my interests for the rest of my life. Let me tell you about it and show you some movies that will help to explain what I'm talking about. So my folks rented a cabin for a week about a block off the lake, and it was on a dirt road, not much traffic on the road at all, and the road ended right at the beach for the lake, so it was convenient for sure. My dad and my brothers planned on doing a lot of fishing, and they loved fishing. Me, not so much. I didn't like being out in a boat, and I didn't like sometimes sitting for hours staring at a bobber waiting for it to move and not catching anything. And I never had very good luck at catching fish. So Dad and Mom wanted to be sure that I got to do something special and fun that was for me. And that turned out to be taking me to an Indian powwow that was held there. And I was excited, but I was a little bit scared because, after all, my only exposure to Native American people was on television and in the Western movies and that. And the Western movies always made them appear to be somewhat savage, bloodthirsty, wanting to scalp you, which is not the way they all were. So I was 8 years old, and after that powwow, though, I had learned an important lesson that I could not always accept as fact, what you see come out of Hollywood. And now I know, as an adult, that 99% of what comes out of Hollywood is nothing but lies. But the powwow was amazing to this 8-year-old boy. The colorful costumes, the dancing, and the constant beat of the drum, while the elders chanted, and these things set a fire to my soon-to-become obsession with the Indian Native American people. Now, before I go on, I'm going to show you a clip of film which I found recently on archives.org, and the film is of that 1964 powwow at Houghton Lake. Now, I don't know who shot the 8mm footage, but thankfully it is archived by the Prelinger Archives, and they uploaded it to archives.org, where there are hundreds and hundreds of home movies preserved, and fascinating to go through, some going back to the early 1920s. But anyways, let's take a look at that, and then I'll be back with you. Absolutely. Now that was awesome. I think it was awesome anyways. At one point, kids who were gathered around watching were invited to join the dancers, and I didn't need to be asked twice, and I joined them. And the rhythm of the drums and the pungent aroma of smoke from their fires mixed with the pine and cedar trees in that grove where they were having the powwow just made it feel like it was a totally magical place. It was such an awesome and interesting feeling. Now I watched as they made baskets, and they showed how they made arrowheads, by flint knapping, which was cool. And one display was selling kachina dolls. Not the elaborate ones sold to collectors, but these were made for the tourist trade, but they were cool. And Dad and Mom bought me one, and it was about 3 inches tall, and was orange and green and dark blue, and with a single feather sticking out of its head on the top. And I treasured that piece for many, many years, but it is no longer with me. But that same summer, my dad was back at home, was gardening. His hobby was gardening, and he loved to do it. He always had a beautiful big garden. We had a very long lot there in Osher Drive in Bridgeport, Michigan, and more than half of the backyard was garden, and he provided vegetables for many people in the neighborhood besides our own family. But as he was hoeing that summer, he looked down and he found a nice brown Indian arrowhead, just little, well, maybe about an inch long, not real big, but perfect. And I know now that it was late woodland, which would mean it would go back about 1,400 years to as little as 500 years ago. But that, in conjunction with having seen the dancers at the powwow and the crafts people at the powwow, just drug me in. And so I have, for the past 40 years, 35, 40 years, been hunting artifacts and identifying them and dating them and writing about them. But I've prattled on long enough. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. I hope you enjoyed that film clip from that powwow. I looked really closely to see if I was one of the kids in the crowd, but I wasn't evidently there at that point when the film was shot. So thank you for stopping by. Remember always, I love you and I appreciate you all very much. God bless, and I'll see you again real soon, God willing.